My name is Fredrick, and I go to Eastern Kentucky University. And today I'm just going to be talking to you about the Little Rock Nine that took place back during the Civil Rights Movement. And I'm just going to inform you about the dramatic events and negative events that took place. The Little Rock Nine was an event during the dramatic process school desegregation with 9 African American students that attended Little Rock High School, and racism was at an all-time high. It was such a dramatic process and negative effect because the 9 students were trying to enroll in an all-white school, and this was brought up during the Blossom Plan. And the Blossom Plan basically was to try to get more minorities into a school, just desegregate the school. And back in 1965, May 24th, 1965, during this speech, I'm going to talk to you about 7 events that took place, such as who were Little Rock Nine, their attempts to get into the school, and harassments and the outcome. Starting with the attempts, starting with the who were Little Rock Nine. The Little Rock Nine were Ernest Green, Elizabeth Eckerford, Carletta Walls, Terrence Roberts, Thelma Mothershed, Gloria Calmark, Minnie Jean Trickery, and Jefferson Thomas. And all these 9 students were from all different schools around the counties that were picked to come to this school. Now I'm going to talk to you about the first attempt to try to get into the school after they were picked. The first attempt began on September 24th, 1965. The 9 children tried to enter the school. When they got to the school, the Arkansas National Guard were there, and they were blocking the doors and would not let the students in. So them trying to get into school, it was a failure. But of the 9 students, Thelma Mothershed got there first. And when she got there, she was the first student of the 9 to get there. When she got there, the crowd was outraged. They were yelling, telling her, calling her names, just being very rude. And in one of her quotes, she says, "I looked into the crowd looking for a kind, humble face. And when I turned to look in the crowd, I saw this older woman." And she said she looked back, she turned away and looked back, and the woman's face, the woman spit in her face. This just shows how disrespectful and how much we as people have come a long way and have grown and bonded together, and there's not much racism going on. But back then, 1965, racism was at an all-time high. That was the first attempt. The second attempt was on September 23rd, 1957. This 9 students trying to enter into school. This time they were successful in getting into the school. The people outside were going crazy. It was maybe 1,000. They just going crazy, and there wasn't enough policemen to control them. So what ended up happening, they ended up having to take the kids out to school, and they didn't even stay the whole day. They were sent home for 2 weeks, and they had to just do work and keep up with the work the best way they could. Because the police couldn't control the crowd, and they didn't have enough people there to help them control the crowd. The third attempt was on September 25th, 1957. Under federal troops rule by the president, 9 students were escorted into the school, and this time they were successful. But when they get into the school, they were harassed and everything. It went from as far as being called names, kicked, spit on. They even had acid thrown in their face. And one of the students reacted. Thelma Mothershed, she was tired of all this. And one day the kids was picking on her, calling her names, and they spit on her, just spit on her. So what she did was drop the hot bowl of chili on their head, and she was the first and last of the 9 students to get kicked out of school. She ended up going to a school called New Lincoln and getting her diploma. This just shows how we've come a long way. In conclusion, these 9 students were very remarkable. They went through things nobody should go through, not as kids anyway. I mean, and they stood up, they never gave up, and they showed fight and determination that they were gonna make a difference. I mean, they probably didn't know it back then, but today, I mean, they made a great movement during the civil rights movement. I mean, scared as, like I said, scared as they were, they never gave up, even after being rejected out of school, being kicked and called names and stuff. So, I mean, that was a great accomplishment on them. So, I mean, that's my segment on Little Rock 9, and I thank you for letting me taking the time out watching this video, and that's it. And you have a blessed day.